We have reached a framework to implement the Geneva consensus and the call between the two presidents, right? So that was on June 5th. So we've combined those two. We've reached a framework for implementation. Now the process will be, we're both going to go back. We, Ambassador Greer, myself, and Scott Bessent, who just left a little earlier, which you saw, because he's testifying tomorrow on the Hill. So the idea is we're going to go back and speak to President Trump and make sure he approves it. They're going to go back and speak to President Xi and make sure he approves it. And if that is approved, we will then implement the framework.
Well, there's good news on Trump's trade war with everyone in the world, except for Russia. Howard Lutnick is selling this framework of a deal as an accomplishment because his part-time job is Commerce Secretary, while his full-time job places him much closer to Trump's ass cheeks.
Look, yes. See that? Trump was right about everything. It just came in. Somebody sent, I said, but this was sent in by a fan. I said, yeah, Brian, you're not a stiff. He's sort of a stiff guy. You know? He'll take other things, but not a free hand.
Always say yes to the president. Always say yes to the president.
Would anybody like one?
This was the president's deal, and people think, oh, that's not the way it works. If you got to sit next to him, I have the best deal maker to my left, and if you don't think that we take advantage of him calling the prime minister and getting that deal done, you don't understand who's the president of the United States. So he's the closer. He gets deals done that we could never get done. The European Union won't take chicken from America. They won't take lobsters from America. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak. Let Donald Trump run the global economy. He knows what he's doing. He's been talking about it for 35 years. You got to trust Donald Trump in the White House. That's why they put him there. Let him fix it.
I understand.
It's broken. Let him fix it. Let Donald Trump fix the American economy.
Just to follow up with you.
Finally, the man behind the resolute desk, the man in the Oval Office, Donald Trump, is finally standing up for our farmers, our ranchers, and our manufacturers to let the world understand either they're buying our products or don't bother coming here unless you're paying.
The countries themselves seemed kind of random. Like, why are the herd and McDonald Islands, which don't export to the United States and are quite literally inhabited by penguins, why do they face a 10% tariffs? Did you use AI to generate this?
No. And this is a perfect example of why Donald Trump produced Liberation Day. People don't understand he gets things done in a matter of time. This would have taken Jameson and I 3 years, maybe. And instead, we got it done in 45 days, certainly, because we work for Donald Trump. Everything in the world's got 10%. You go to the store now, are you feeling the pain? No. Why not? Because there is no pain. It's not that the tariff is coming, it's on. Have any of you felt any of it? Seriously.
This meant everyone should know by now that when this administration announces a deal in response to the trade wars that Trump started, it's either just an announcement, like the one with the UK, or it'll be rescinded and delayed another 2 or 3 months like the ones with everybody else.
The officials from both sides saying they had agreed to a framework for moving forward. Each delegation is now briefing their respective presidents on the details, and pending approvals, then we will start to see implementation. The focus really stayed on China's rare earths, which should now start to flow to the U.S., and on the U.S.'s export restrictions, which should ease up in return.
We do absolutely expect that the topic of rare earth minerals and magnets with respect to the United States of America will be resolved in this framework implementation. That is a fundamental part of that. Also, there were a number of measures the United States of America put on when those rare earths were not coming. You should expect those to come off sort of, as President Trump said, in a balanced way. When they approve the licenses, then you should expect that our export implementation will come down as well.
What Lutnick doesn't mention is that this is an attempt to return to an agreement that fell apart last month that trades materials we need from China to manufacture a wide range of electronics, while they receive chemicals, airplane parts, and software.
This is definitely a step in the right direction, but it is a somewhat small one. It roughly puts things back to where they were after Geneva, when the U.S. thought that the rare earths issue was settled. But given that there was no timeline then for China to abide by, the U.S. then felt China was slow-walking the deal. Now we are back on track, clearly. Trump saying the relationship is excellent, but we have to wait to see whether there might be a timeline attached this time, and then whether and how quickly the two sides follow through.
Basically a truce. Look, you've got a two-front trade war. You've got the tariff war, and there we've got to let it play out a little bit over the next month or two. And now you've got the export control trade war. And this was focusing on the latter, on the export controls. And I think what you basically have is the China saying, yeah, we'll ease up on our limits on these so-called rare earths.
Say.
And what we're going to do is basically saying, if you do that, then we'll ease up on certain high-tech exports to you. That's essentially what's on the table.
Initially, China's not talking. China's not talking. It's horrible. China's not talking. Then, okay, we're going to meet in Geneva. Then we did Geneva. Everyone was excited. Market went up. All we are right now really is back to Geneva.
We are back. Yeah, that's why this is, the market reaction apparently is what it is. I don't know whether to call this by the technical phrase, nothing burger.
So the nothing burger is that we're back where we were on this one aspect, but it still doesn't even begin to address the most painful part of Trump's petulant trade war with China when it comes to costs to American consumers. Trump celebrated in an all-caps post, hoping that most of us wouldn't recognize the part that directly affects us. We're getting a total of 55% tariffs. China's getting 10%. Relationship is excellent. Thank you for your attention to this matter. But if we do pay attention, we should notice that getting a 55% tariff is a 55% tax on the goods companies will pass on to consumers. He really is trying to normalize the lie that other countries pay for the tariffs that he imposed on their exports to America. He wavered on it a few times by insulting us and saying that we'll just accept it. But he always goes back to pitching this price increase as some kind of victory.
Tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success. They cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
We will do our best to keep our prices as low as possible. But given the magnitude of the tariffs, even at the reduced levels announced this week, we aren't able to absorb all the pressure given the reality of narrow retail margins. The higher tariffs will result in higher prices.
They're able to do this.
When you say that Walmart should eat the cost of the tariffs, is that an acknowledgement that it is U.S. companies that bear the brunt of tariffs, not foreign countries?
Sometimes the country will eat it, sometimes Walmart will eat it, and sometimes there'll be something to pay, something extra.
Can you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow.
This is why trusting any of the lies that this president tells only ends on the joke being on us. He enjoys this lack of accountability for all the declarations and promises that he made that none of his supporters can even explain away. They just go right back to the merry-go-round of announcing victories while the reality kicks regular Americans in the ass. And by the way, how are those trade talks going with the entire rest of the world that he imposed tariffs on? Before he delayed them.
Reuters was reporting that there is a letter that is meant to be sent to other countries, which would give these countries a deadline of Wednesday to produce their best offer on the trade matter. Why does the administration feel the need to send this letter?
USTR sent this letter to all of our trading partners just to give them a friendly reminder that the deadline is coming up.
Is this letter that was sent to trading partners a sign that the president isn't satisfied with the pace of these negotiations? Is he trying to light a fire under these talks now?
Well, look, the president has been very direct to our trading partners in his conversations with them, with foreign leaders directly, that they need to cut deals with the United States of America. The tariff agenda of this president, he believes very strongly in it. And as you've all seen, he's unafraid to use tariffs to protect our industries and protect our workers. But he wants to see these tailor-made deals be signed.